And you were talking about LDAR Sim, which is, I think, what you got even your PhD using, and I thought of it, okay, it must be a system or must have some modeling there, which it did. And then hearing, the Colorado regulator said, oh yeah, we accept LDAR Sim. I'm like, okay, this is perfect. So yeah, that narrow focus of, I think Thomas Fox can help us get approved with this alternative technology approval. So yeah, that narrow focus. Now, in this new thing, you said you started, let's say, with some early adopters and stuff. Is there any, what's the update on that kind of stuff? And let's also describe the problem a little bit, because you talk about OGMP and the reconciliation. So just for this audience, what is that reconciling what exactly?
Yeah, so maybe I'll start with the problem and give you a few examples of some of the traction that we're getting. So the challenge is that there's a lot of different ways to estimate methane emissions. You can do calculations based on factors, activity and emission factors. You can do engineering type equations based on known activities. You can measure at the source level. You can incorporate those into your factors and have company-specific data. And then you can measure at different spatial and temporal scales. You can have continuous monitoring. You can have aerial flyovers. There's all kinds of ways of doing these measurements. And you can never have complete omniscience. So you're never going to be able to measure every individual molecule that was ever emitted from every one of your sites. It's kind of like modeling, estimating reserves in oil and gas. We're trying to estimate a fundamentally unknowable number. And so there's basically a cost benefit exercise that has to happen of, what are we going to focus on measuring? What are the highest risk sites? What are the highest risk source categories? And what are some of the sources that maybe measurement isn't the best approach, that we're going to use calculated estimates instead, because the engineering estimates are probably more reliable for those source categories. And so the challenge really is getting good data from different sources and weaving it together into a credible, consistent, auditable narrative that aligns with protocols that, frankly, are still largely in development. There's a number of companies who are reporting to OGMP 2.0 at level 5 now. I think there's over 100 companies who have joined the initiative. But the requirements from UNEP for how to report to OGMP are evolving, and so it's really hard to do. And figuring out, it's effectively been described as a science experiment. And figuring out that science experiment, you could hire half a dozen people full time to work on it and do a research paper every year for your reporting. Or you could get together, join a group of operators to align behind a consistent solution for how to do this, establish a foundation, a methodology, and then build on that foundation year over year, which is what we're doing. So the challenge has really been in the consistency, in the scalability of this kind of novel work. And then ensuring that it's auditable, because with the new EU methane rule in particular, there's a requirement for independent verification to a reasonable level of assurance. And that auditability requirement is very challenging to define, first and foremost, because there's no, to date, as of this moment, there are no real audit protocols for example, OGMP 2.0. Veritas has published audit guidance. But these are some of the challenges that led customers to want to work together with us on this problem. And it's frankly not solved. Like, we're still working on this. We're still testing things out. We launched the initial version of EIP in January, and OGMP reporting was due I think 2 weeks ago now, just under 2 weeks ago on a Saturday. And so that was our first test run of the new system. We had reported with clients in the past with our consulting teams. This was the first time that we supported clients using EIP as part of to automate some of the L5 and the reconciliation requirements. And that's the name of the software, Emissions Intelligence Platform. Yeah, thanks for calling me out on acronym soup. And so we support eight companies in some capacity in their reporting. And we do have a number of SaaS users now who are in the system building out their own level 5 inventories, evaluating our 100 pages of technical documentation, thinking about what it'll look like for this to be auditable, providing feedback, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's been great. We're seeing a definitive need, especially on the scalability and consistency piece in the market, and we think we're onto something, but still TBD. We're waiting to get feedback from UNEP, so we'll see how we fare. But we're pretty confident in the reports that we submitted this year.